Hello, my name is Kathryn and my lens is dirty. Hello, my name is Kathryn. I blog at liquidgrain.co.uk. I have dogs that won't stop walking on the wooden floor, and I Instagram at liquidgrain. If you just are into the books and the art of it, it's liquidgrain pages. And what else? Yeah, that's it. Oh, I'm in a new house. This is our house, which you may have seen the day where we got our keys. I think I filmed that. And since then we've done a ton of kind of renovations and cosmetic upgrades inside the house. And this is our living room. But today, God, my hair's a mess. But today I am going to talk to you about a young adult novel called After the Fire by Will Hill. I don't have the book with me currently because it is packed somewhere in a box. But After the Fire is a fantastic young adult novel. It is really enthralling. It is just really interesting and it had me gripped the whole time, not gonna lie. This review is going to be full of spoilers, so if you've not read it yet, I'd actually advise you to just not read any reviews, go into it completely cold, because I think that's the best way to do this book, because it is kind of very suspenseful and it is building up to a crescendo that I really don't want to spoil for you. And I actually went into the book completely cold. I borrowed it on audiobook first of all through my library, loved it, and then I bought the paperback as well. I just borrowed it because I like the cover, because that's what I do. If you don't have access to borrowing audiobooks, if you want to do Audible, I also do Audible. If you want to use my link down below, you get a free book for your first one, and it is an affiliate link for me as well. Okay, on to the main review, and you can tell I have not done this in so long. No surprises, I really like this book, I think, as you can tell already. Headlines is I would rate it 4 out of 5 stars. It is losing a star because I don't know how well it's going to do on a reread. Actually, I do. It's not going to have the same impact as what it did the first time around, so that's where it's kind of losing a star from me. However, it is a really enjoyable book and I love it. If you like young adult novels, I think you will too. The book follows Moonbeam, who was brought up in a cult in America, and it is told in a really interesting way structurally. Everything is phrased as before the fire or after the fire, which means you do get a real build-up of how important the event is without kind of overdoing it. You know, it's going to be a fire, which is quite nice. You know, you're not waiting for some twist, but you're also getting enough of the context in the background so you feel like you know what's going on and you're suitably invested by the time it gets to the fire. I think the structure does mean that it's a little bit disjointed at times, and some people might have issues with the pacing of it. However, I didn't. I quite liked it, as I said. I think Moonbeam as the narrator is really kind of works as well. It's all told through her therapy sessions and kind of first person recollections of what was going on in the cult in the run up to the fire, and then her processing what has happened afterwards. So I think the structure is really interesting. I would be interested to know how other people thought about it. If you did have a kind of issues with the pacing, then let me know. I have got to apologise for any background noise. That's Matt, my husband. He is currently laying the wooden floor, because if you saw our moving video, then you would have saw that these were carpets, and we're now in the process of redoing them all in wood, which this is looking great, but he's in the kitchen right now. I think the unexpected structure and telling of the story is really effective, and it's a good device used by Hill for sure. What? And I think that does help the fact that actually there's a lot of aspects that are perhaps quite expected and quite, you might say stereotypical. What? What? Oh, and we've got a big one now. You know, for example, you know, the cult I think is a very generic and expected, you know, white American, cuckoo, crazy, religious, kind of world is going to end cult, with for sure overtures of violence, and sometimes those are subtle violence and threats of violence, and sometimes there are a lot more realized. So I think that actual we're a cult, we live in a compound in the middle of the desert is quite basic, but you know, you're told the story in a way that is unexpected, which works. I think the characters in the cult are also maybe a little bit expected. Again, you know, it's white men, it is there's a kind of maybe an expected sexual exploitation element to these white men who run the cult, and these are people who, yes, they maybe run the cult formally, but then they also informally keep the power structures alive in the cult as well. That's quite expected. It's you know, mostly male dominated, and you know, I think that, you know, again, that's not so interesting. What is interesting from a character point of view is the children, and the children who are in the same group as Moonbeam when they come together to do the group therapy. I thought that was really well developed, because you had the before the fire scenes where you were understanding what was going on inside the compound, and the ways that, you know, people's lives were interacting and people's characters before the fire. And then after the fire, you know, you've got these kids who quite often would be out of the compound for the first time in their lives. Their whole, you know, lens of understanding the world has been literally burned to pieces. They're in a weird place with weird people and feeling very threatened, or, you know, trying to process that, and in some cases process loss as well of loved ones. And, you know, I think seeing that impact of what is going into the real world for these children looking like for the first time is really interesting and really well done, and actually far better done than, you know, the adults of the cult and maybe the, you know, the expected cult side of it. So I thought that was really effective, and I really liked it. I also liked Moonbeam's kind of thought process and how well explained it was. It did seem like an organic thought process where she began to question what was going on in the cult and build relationships and form her own ideas about what was going on as well at the time, which I think is really, it seemed organic, and like I said, which is good, and not kind of forcing this kind of, you know, very I was going to use an academic term that doesn't really make sense in here, but basically forcing a way onto it that doesn't make sense. So, and just to propel the story along is what I'm trying to say. So I thought that was really effective as well. And yeah, it's a short book. It's quite light-hearted actually. It's quite easy to read, and I really enjoyed the audiobook version as well. And like I said, 4 out of 5 stars from me. If you like young adult, I'm sure you will like this. If you've read it, let me know what you thought, and I will try and do some more reviews now that I actually have moved and things like that. So, short review today, getting back into videos, and yeah, thanks, speak soon, bye.